two, 1, 2. Okay, we are live. Awesome. Welcome back. Another Saturday stream here. We are live. Good to see you guys. Today we're going to be talking about some random stuff. More focus has been put on the autopilot script / AI navigation script. Come across some hiccups, some roadblocks. Going to go over those. A little bit of one of the public-facing release scripts. A few other things as well. We will hopefully get through all of it in time, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as usual. So we're just going to load into 5M here and get started. Alrighty. Okay, so where do we stand with the AI / autopilot script? What are those roadblocks? So I was doing some testing and I realized a challenge. And I guess for me to explain it, it'll probably be easiest if I did it in Paint on a 2D sphere here. So we figured out a way to calculate the handy-dandy turn radius, right? So let's grab a point from A to B, and let's create a nice little curve. All right. So pretending that this whole arc is a circle, we were able to mathematically calculate where the turn radius is, and therefore how far outside this point at all times to stay, right? So whether we're here or here or here, we should always maintain this same distance, right? Because the radius of a circle is equidistant from its center point on all sides. We know this. You know this, even if you didn't know how to put that in a sentence. we all knew this, right? But the problem is equidistant from all sides here. Oh, jeez. The problem is when the aircraft is navigating, and let's say we get to this point, we'll call it P1. For the radius equation to be true, the plane itself, and we'll make it a little bit clear as well, a little autopilot navigation here, traveling towards point P1 at a heading of H1. So for this radius equation to ring true, essentially, the plane will have to be at the max bank angle or the max roll angle or roll rate or turning radius that it needs for the turn by the time it gets to this point. Now you can see why that would be a problem, right? Because if we get to this point, if we get to point P1 and then we start the turn, well, then that's going to effectively extend out the necessary turn radius, because by the time he gets to the needed radius, which let's say it's at this point here, by the time he gets to the needed turn radius, the aircraft itself, the autopilot, will have had to basically readjust for a new turn radius. So he won't necessarily be following this angle. He might end up out here before he starts the turn, or sort of out here before he starts the turn. We don't want that, right? So I've been trying to brainstorm my way through some solutions And I was looking at the NASA doc that I recently sort of brought up, and I'll pull that up now. All about turning NASA 4D guidance algorithms. So there's a chapter in this book called roll rate compensation. Yes, here. Roll rate compensation. So basically what it talks about is the idea that essentially you can't assume that the aircraft will be at the perfect turning radius by the time it's ready to turn, right? You have to basically adjust for that. So the main question becomes, how do you adjust for that? And one of the ideas I have, or I had, or still have, I haven't invalidated it yet, was essentially to have the aircraft at a point that basically pre-pins the P1 point on the map, right? So basically set it so that wherever it is before, it makes the necessary turn radius, which in this case we could say like maybe, maybe it's here, for example, and we need to adjust the heading one, but adjust it in such a way that when we make our turn, we end up at P1 with our new modified heading, and our modified necessary sort of bank rate or roll rate, I should say. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. It's a bit of a challenge because each aircraft has its own sort of soul, for lack of a better word. It has its own handling characteristics, lift profile, sensitivity behind the yoke, all sorts of yaw characteristics, et cetera, et cetera. But I was thinking that I could maybe do some sort of control test where I gathered where the gathered how long it took for us to get from coordinate, like some coordinate n or 0 to max roll rate. So basically we try to measure out the what's the word I'm looking for? The coordinate transform and the heading transform. So I'll put that in actual English because I know that was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. So we'll have to spawn in a vehicle and observe our coordinates as well. Okay, so for, let's say we're picking a random vehicle here. Luxor's a pretty plane. Do I have that saved? I do, sweet. Okay. So let's say we are in our Luxor, right? The question is, when we're in our Luxor at some perfect zero facing heading or zero turn configuration, when we turn to our max roll, which let's say a 30-degree roll, right? And I'll do that now to the right here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Right. So the question is, how soon does it take, or how quick does it take for us to get there, or how soon can we get to that roll rate in a distance based measurement, not necessarily time. So how quick does it take us to get to roll 30? And then when we finally do make it to roll 30, how long does it take us to get there on the x-axis and the y-axis? And then how much heading do we change getting to that particular point? And what that should give us, ideally, is, and we'll go ahead and clear all this off, that should give us some sort of, essentially, that'll give us some sort of point on the graph that tells us that, hey, no matter what turn you're making, your roll rate's going to be, let's say, I don't know, 2 degrees per meter. right? So once we have that, then it's not really going to matter. We can essentially just extend our P1 and our P2 out and basically try to figure out. So I'll delete this. We would have to change our P1 to this point here and our P2 to this point, and then we'd have like a P1.5 here and then a P 2.5 here, right? So what this would be this would essentially show you both where it takes for you to get from point A to the start of the turn, and then this would be the measurement between the start of the turn and however much distance you need to get to the maximum ideal roll rate, or bank rate, I should say. So once you're there, then this is perfectly linear. This is perfectly linear, and then this is just a question of navigation, which in theory we technically don't even need a P2.5. We could just say P1.5 and navigate to ideal point using the max ideal roll rate, but that is something that I have not yet tested, and I will have to do some testing on. So that's probably what I'm going to do now. Later on, we'll talk about some other stuff. But yeah. Oh crap. Well, I died. That's what happens when you alt tab away behind the wheel. Alrighty, I didn't realize that. It's funny. Okay. So, where even am I? There's Chiliad. Okay, I know where I am. By the prison. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's see. We can go into, I'm going to pull up the approach testing script, client.lua. We're going to go into here and yeah. Okay. So cool. I basically have a script that is going to test our ability to test our roll rate performance, so to speak. So we'll go ahead and try that now. So we will go, first off, we have to start approach testing, and app test, we have turn test. And just so we could see that, turn test, whether or not we want a passenger, the vehicle name, XYZ heading. These arguments are all optional, except for actually, yeah. All of them are optional except for passenger. So we'll say turn test, we'll say true passenger, and then we'll do Nimbus. No, we'll do Vestra. We've been playing with the Vestra, so we will continue to play with the Vestra. So long story short, we basically wait, I believe it's 15 seconds, and then we perform our turn from 0 roll to 30 roll, which is usually the max roll rate of a given sort of passenger aircraft. So let's see. Oh, that's right. I based it on speed as well, which I'm going to have to change. Hold on 1 second. So we render the vehicle, load it in memory. We'll set it to 63. We will restart. Oh, geez. No, I'm sure he's fine. So now we go ahead and re-attempt the test, and the goal is to effectively get the plane to a roll rate of 30 and to measure how long it takes to transform those points. So there's the roll. We're already starting. Okay, we stopped rolling at 30, which means we should have in here a snapshot. So I basically configured it to give us a snapshot, coordinates at the start of the turn, coordinates at the end of the turn, heading at the start of the turn, heading at the end of the turn, etc., etc., etc. So we're going to basically go ahead and do it again. Probably going to do it 2-3 more times just to see what the particular average or mean is. Now this is a little bit annoying because it's very static. Eventually, hopefully we'll have a way to determine what this is regardless of the speed and regardless of the roll and regardless of wherever they are. But for now, we're just going to keep on sticking with the handy dandy static measurements. Let's see. Okay, there's another turn. 30 degree bank. Beautiful. And restart it again. Probably going to do 2 more of these. And then we will measure the output there as well. Perfect. 30 degrees. Another snapshot. So we're going to restart it. And one more time. And if I still have it, okay, yeah, I do. So you'll notice that there is a green marker following us. That is basically the static sort of turn radius when we make that turn. I figured out a way to generate where the turn radius is. So based on that previous conversation, if we wanted to have an attack vehicle circle around a target, we basically just set that target to the radius, which, I mean, it might even be a way for us to coordinate that turn as well. I'd have to think that out. I don't think that's going to be very effective. Yeah, cool. So we can pull off an emergency landing here. Nope. Cool. So now's where the math happens. The very, very basic elementary school math. I'm gonna grab this. We just want the snapshot, so we're gonna copy that. Notepad. Basically gonna paste these in. And I'm gonna delete everything that's not a snapshot. Initiating now. Initiating now. Delete that. Delete that. And I think that's good. Awesome. So what we are going to do is a couple of things. We're going to pay attention to the roll rate, which, if you'll note, it's not exact, which is kind of frustrating because I don't know of a more accurate way to get the roll rate at exactly 30, considering this operates on CPU time and it's subject to a bunch of different race conditions, et cetera, et cetera. But this will have to do for now. So it's going to lead to some accuracy issues, obviously. Heading, of course, I don't really care about that, but we're starting off from a heading of 0. So if you want an example of compass with headings. Sure. Why not? Oh, that's not good enough. Let's do large screenshots here. Size large, please. Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Image tab. Perfect. Okay. So we're starting off at heading 0. And for example, we are going to heading 350, 350, 349, 350, and 351. So that's great. We have about excuse me. We have about an average of 350 degrees of transform based on where we are starting at heading 0. So 0 all the way to 350. That's going to be what is that? 360 to 350. It's 10 degrees. It's a 10-degree change on average. But we'll do the math and get the average of it. We'll do it mathematically speaking. We also have to get the transform between these points and our chords at the end of the turn, which I will do now. So let's see. Maybe we can put on some sort of music while I figure that out. Sure. Hopefully it's not too loud, but okay, cool. Alrighty. So I will do this on the side. Just bear with me, and we will be right back. From 0. 360 minus 350. Okay. Another thing I noticed here, just as I'm still going, is the difference between velocities as well. That might be something we'll have to also account for. Once again, not a huge fan of this method, but it's the strongest lead I have so far. So yeah, ideally there is some sort of equation that's going to help us find the turn radius in real time, regardless of the vehicle, regardless of the speed difference, regardless of the ability to monitor the roll, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually I want to get to that point, but for now we're just working with what we have. So I'm going to sort of continue cooking in the background here. Should be about maybe 5 more minutes. Alrighty, that wasn't too painful. So it looks like we have some examples. I'm going to go ahead and save this to the desktop here because we need this. We'll call this app testing. Then we'll say Vestra. We'll say transform or delta to 30 deg bank from 0. Cool. So we have all of our heading transforms. We're basically gonna get rid of the other data here. Just so we have all 5 instances of heading transform. All right. And awesome. And then, so what we can do is we could effectively get the average for those who are allergic to math or it's been a while. The average is essentially just adding all of the numbers up and dividing them by the amount of different sets of numbers there are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whatever this number added up divided by 5 gives us our answer. Since we're not working on exact numbers here, I'm going to just call it a day and call the average 10, just for simplicity's sake. We don't necessarily care about the accuracies when we're already working on some sort of inaccurate data. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and make that average heading transform is 10. Cool. And then for this, it's a lot more wild or sporadic in nature. So we'll go ahead and do the average of that here. Let's pull this up. No, we can't pull it to the side. We already have something in the background. So we have 19 point that plus 22.518. 999 plus 24.862519 plus 22.395976 plus 20.342639. Awesome. So that over 5 gives us an average of 21.9. So average transform X, 21.9. Average transform Y. Same thing. Add them up, divide it by the number of numbers. And of course, average transform Z is who cares. Cool. So 319 point blank. Clear me out, please. Paste that in. Plus 334.660, 279, plus 342.80. Fun. Gotta love the good old. I can actually just copy the whole thing into Google Calendar or Google Calculator and just give us the average that way. It's probably a little bit easier. Okay. Go home. Delete that. Delete that. go. There we go. There we go. Go. And awesome. Okay. Plus, 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 and plus. All right, much better. Okay, so we got 1646.525 blank blank over 5 gives us 329.3. Awesome. That looks about right. So now should we have also taken the average of the velocity? Yeah, we do have the turning radius actually. Okay. So the turning radius is, I probably should have kept that. Heading cart trans. All right, let's open up our last one. All right, so there's that, plus that, plus that, plus that, plus that. Cool. So bringing those all together, we have 12,258.5721161 divided by 5 gives us an average turning radius of this 2451.7144. Okay, so now we reopen, don't save, and then we say average turning radius transform is this. So this is basically our ratio. So our max bank angle, at least in terms of our AI script, is going to be 2,451 feet, 0.7144, blah, 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 turning radius. So the idea is whatever percent of the turning radius we need, we basically calculate the transform and we incorporate that into the turn radius itself. So I'll give you an example. I didn't mean to show that so soon. I'll show you that in a sec. I'll give you an example. We have 0.1 here. Fill it with solid color. Say 0.1 here and 0.2 here. So of course we know that we can't just fly into 0.1 and begin the turn. Otherwise, we would need to figure out the turn radius for the actual transform during the turn. We don't want to do that, right? We want something like, basically what we want to do is we're going to statically calculate that particular average that we pulled up, right? So let's say the average turning radius is 3,205 feet, right? Which is clearly more, which is good. 2005.0 EG. So long story short, we just have to figure out what percentage of our max turn radius, which is this guy, that this number is. And we apply that same transform to this heading, or this transform into this transform. So if we go into our handy dandy Google and we say 3 what percent of 3205 is 2451? That's 76%. I guess that's backwards. Blank is that backwards? Might be backwards. 76%. Maybe we subtract that minus 100. It's 23. I think that's more like it. Well, basically we take the percent change from this turn radius to this turn radius and we apply it, right? So with that turn radius, let's say it's 23%, right? So we say 21.93 times 0.23. That'll give us our transform of that, and then we multiply this times 0.23. And basically what we do is we add whatever this answer is to our resulting turn. So going back into here, instead of making a basis turn from here to here, from here to here, we're essentially saying no, by the time we get into our turning radius, we're going to be more here. So we need to calculate the turn radius basically here. And we use this space to begin getting into position. So this is basically what we are trying to calculate here. This particular sort of transform. So hopefully this works. I think the only thing that's a little bit confusing is the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the transform, right? So why I was hesitant was that the turn radius logic is a bit backwards, and I'll show you what I mean. If we go up here, let's pull out a random plane, pull out something maybe fast like a we haven't pulled out the pyro in a long time. So we pull out a handy dandy pyro, and you will see that our turn radius is close to infinite, right? I mean, ideally it is infinite when we're straight and level, right? When our wings are aligned with the horizon perfectly, our turn radius is the max that it could be, right? Now, of course, no one's ever going to get their wings perfectly level, but the point, you get the point. Now, it isn't, our turn radius increases as we increase the bank. It's actually backwards. We decrease as we decrease the bank or increase the bank. So you'll see the max turn radius I get to is actually this right here, right? Which is based on my speed, based on my bank, based on my roll rate, etc., etc. So I'm trying to figure out how much of that is actually sort of percentage based, I should say. Which, that I'm not sure. Or how do we calculate the percentage? I'm assuming it's backwards, but maybe that's a wrongful assumption. I'm thinking and flying. I'm multitasking here. Oh, jeez. Jeez. All right. Thinking. guessing that our turn radius should be, well, if our max turn radius is 2,000, let's make it a round figure. If our max turn radius is 2,000 from infinite, and we achieve a bank of 3,000, technically that's just, when we flip the numbers, flip the max and the existing. So something like, ignore that, something like, what percent of this 2,000? So 66% of the turn. Oh, we got some random viewers. Hello there. Hello. Welcome to the stream. We are, I'll just explain it in person. If you guys are still here or not still here, welcome. Thank you for hopping in. Long story short, we are working on a flight simulator in Grand Theft Auto. We are basically pulling out a lot of that excess code and replacing it with some very cool flight simulator related stuff. We have custom airports. We have custom airplane handling, which simulates fluid dynamics. We have, we're working on an AI script and basically an AI flight navigation kind of logic, and a couple of other things. So we're super busy on our side, but we're hoping to have something public very soon, which technically we can go public immediately, but we want to at least have a couple of fun activities for you guys to enjoy while you are playing on the server. So yeah, that is what we are working on, and I think this is correct. What percent of 4,000 is 2,000? Is 50%? Is that 50% of the turn? Let's double check that. We'll pull out, let's pull out something, maybe a 757. Is that even running? Vehicle class, planes. I guess it is. Let's see. Awesome. So let's go ahead and pull up to close to max altitude, and we are going to measure if our roll at 2,000 is 50% of our roll at 4,000. Another Recon original, beautifully made aircraft here. This is the 757. Wasn't really a fan of this plane until I got to play it, until I got to actually control it. It's quite a marvelous piece of engineering technology, I will say. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start our tests. We can add a little friend here so we're not so lonely in the cockpit. Awesome. And we will attempt our first bank to a turning radius of 2,000 feet even. Oh geez, we have to be very shallow. Okay. We will increase. Good thing there are no passengers back here. Okay. So we're about 48. So with a 4,000 turn radius, we are 37, give or take. of 40. It varies based on the speed. So yeah, let's double check that, I guess. Also, I should note that my nose is not horizon locked, so we'll try that again. 4,000 foot turn radius here. Okay, so we're at 30 with nose facing horizon, and we will go down to 2,000 and try to keep our nose up here as well. 2,000. Okay, so that was what, 30 and 45? 30, 45, give or take. I think so, something like that. Yeah, so 30 and 45, which 30 is 1% of 45. Oh, 66%. Interesting. Yeah, I will have to play with that on the side. I don't want to bore you guys with me thinking out loud here, but yeah. What is that transform at? I guess, would we have to figure out maybe the roll based on the max? Yeah, there's some sort of questions that I have that I need to figure out how to answer on the back end. So I'll continue working on that. My head's down, mainly focused on that particular sub project. Geez, every time I turn away, there is destruction. Yeah, I'm going to continue working on that on my side, and poor guy, who knows what he caught. Yeah, I'm going to continue working on that on my side, and then we will continue working on the other things. We basically have the server ready to go. We have a database in the background that's collecting dust, honestly, for lack of a better word, but never noticed this logo before it's building. But I guess I will segue into our other thing, which is the paint thing I wanted to show you. So long story short, these are what we're working on currently. As we see, databases POC, this should actually be green. I think there's maybe one or two things I need to work on, but it's pretty much ready to go. Tola, as you guys have seen millions and millions of time, is pretty much ready. Crosswinds, that is underway. Tugplanes, which I will show you in a minute. Flight school I talked about. Still working on some UI stuff. Custom airports I will also show you guys in a minute, which I think I've shown you before, but just in case, I'll give you another sneak peek. And AI and aircraft autopilot logic, which we are heavily working on. This one is probably the most important, so I am trying to get this ready just because it's going to be one of the first missions, or related to one of the first missions that you encounter, which is a discovery flight with the pilot. We have the general logic, but we are just working on the hard part, which is the final approach alignment and coordination. So that is underway. Cool. I guess for those of you that don't know what the Tola is or what it looks like, haven't seen it for the millionth time, I will show you happily because I am quite proud of it, actually. Certainty test, you'll see you'll get quite disoriented. Alrighty. So this script is thanks to a little bit of trigonometry and some math, which is, this was actually really fun to construct. But yeah, I will show you guys what it measures and what you can expect to see or not see. I still haven't figured out if I'm going to show you guys this live while you're playing, or if I'm just going to calculate it on the back end, but I will show you that now. We'll pull out the 757, set the time of day to sunset, maybe a little earlier. Let's see, 1920. Yeah, perfect. All right, and we will pull out the handy dandy 757. And so every time you land, or you're getting ready to land, autopilot here, you'll need to know your performance, right? You'll need to know if you're doing well or not. So basically, this is a sort of a net, which is created with the intention of seeing where you are local to an ideal, a perfect approach line, right? So let me stop. Turn measure. We'll actually go back and do it again because that was a bit of a headache to watch. Okay, so you're pulling in for final approach. You've been cleared, and you need to see how well your landing performance is. Well, this script basically does just that, right? So it monitors how well aligned you are along a final approach path, and it gauges whether or not you are on the right path to landing, right? So the cool thing about this is that it's going to it gives players a way to consistently monitor how well they are doing at keeping a stable standard approach. So as you can see, I'm sort of intersecting. I want to be parallel with the line right in the center and get us right to the touchdown zone here. Now, as I mentioned before, oh, there we go. And we will apply the brakes. No reverse thrust script quite yet, but that's okay. And I do have a way to measure how hard you landed as well. I don't think I have it on this particular, yeah, I don't have it on that particular version of the script, but I basically measured the vertical velocity or the vertical descent rate down so that you can see how smoothly you touch down. Now in real life, of course, if you're flying something like, what is it, the 737? 739, I believe it's called. Yes. If you're flying something like this, I believe they say that you're not allowed to do a buttered landing because it causes landing gear oscillations, which can cause issues. Oops. Cause issues with the landing gear. But it's GTA. I'm not going to go that deep. We can go as deep as we need to. That's not, we need to go that far in. But yeah. So like you and friends can actually even basically compare how well you guys land and sort of have a competitive nature. How good can you approach? How good can you touch the sort of the landing gear, or the touch the touchdown zone? How quick? How far in? How smooth? Etc. Etc. Okay, so we talked about that. Yes. So there's two things I wanted to show. I don't even know if I have that working. I might need to crash the server for us to turn that on. So let me see. Give me 2 seconds here. Bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. We want, yes, Top Gear track. I might have already showed you this, and I'm going to spawn it in. I'm pretty sure it's not. Oh, it is. Cool. Perfect. Stop t-test. Get these out of here. Oh, geez, there's no way to... You know what? I'm just going to fly to that airport, and you guys will get to experience that live. Cool. I'm like, what's the point of being in a plane if we can't actually utilize it? This was also made by Recon. Shout out Recon. Or V1. Let's rotate. Positive rate gear up. Add a friend. And we're basically gonna just head straight there. So this is actually an airport that I made inside of Blender, which the base model started off from a player named, I believe it was Flux or Flexbeats. Flexbeats, he's also a producer, which is crazy. But he imported this map from Assetto Corsa, and I took his map and cleaned it up, added some collisions to it, and some I'm not going to call it, well, it's UV mapping. It's just so that the lighting doesn't become sort of garbage or sort of messy. But yeah, this is going to be one of the first airports that you will be able to access and fly to, giving the flight aspect some more realism. And there's another map, which is Cabid as well, which you guys have seen in some trailers, which is over here. I don't have it spawned in just because it doesn't turn on by default. I didn't set that config up yet, which I will need to. Cool. So there is our handy dandy runway. I don't have the localizer set up for this yet, so I'm going to just do the VFR approach here. Wonder if we could do this inside of our handy dandy first person. Let's get our gear down, get our nose down as well, and we'll go first person. Alrighty, we're a little to the right, so we're gonna level off our wings, cross over to the left here, or to the left and crossing over to the right, sorry, jeez. Alrighty. Now we're too far right, so we're gonna readjust. Terrible approach, but that's okay. Okay, we're very high. Instead of going around, we're just gonna... Bad practice, by the way, don't ever do this. Plenty of space, and... touchdown. There we go. So yeah, this is the airport I am working on. It has 3 runways. It has a maintenance operations area, a main terminal area over here, a private sort of area here with a heli space. You can see we have some runway markings here as well. Slow down so we don't cause any death here. Whoops. Ignore that. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. I'm not paying attention. That's okay. But yep, you have your sort of maintenance operations area here. You have your sort of run-up area over there, which we'll get a little closer, you'll see it. The beautiful little sort of curve here, which is very cool as well. And yeah, so this is our run-up area. I made an industrial one. I know it's not common with airports, with especially like commercial airports, to waste real estate on an industrial run-up area, but I have it, so sue me. Which, this thing is huge. It could fit basically aircraft of all sizes. I specifically or especially made this to be able to house the default GTA jet, which is humongous for GTA map sizes. Let's make it daytime. Jeez, hope you're not blind. Right, so this thing can fit pretty much any aircraft and allow for space to do sort of thrust testing here. So, yeah. So that's the maintenance zone, and we also have our handy dandy. See if I can make this turn. Oh yeah, plenty of space. Whoops. Yeah, so we also have our own, this is our main terminal area. It's going to house an airport building. And private space there, and a cargo area here. So this is coming along quite nicely. One of a few. I see how much I love you guys. I am learning Blender for you. I hate 3D modeling applications. They're unnecessarily complex, but I do it because I love you. Anyway. So yeah, that's that. And I guess the only thing we have left to showcase is the... Oh, I don't have that. The only thing I have left to showcase is the tugplane script, which I will do now. Gonna want to fly to Los Santos. Feels good having runways that have enough space to actually turn on. And of course, it's going to be common that you'll be flying back and forth legs for missions or for experience or for whatever kinds of goals that you want to achieve. We'll have private missions, we'll have regular jobs where you're flying passengers, or in this case, flying cargo, which you'll see some of these awesome liveries or liveries. Let's see, liveries. Like DHL and UPS and KLM. Now, 5M is a bit petty, so I don't know if they're going to allow me to have these logos, but we'll do our best to either get approval or find a workaround so that you guys can have some fun little immersive stuff here. This freaking terrible cockpit. Look at that. Look at that. It's so unrealistic. I hate it. But the handling is fixed, so I don't care. Let's do a different plane. Do we have... I think we have the PC-12. PC-12. Ah, it's not started. Start PC-12. Okay. PC-12. See ya. Notice how quiet it is. So much better model. Probably one of my favorites here. The Pilatus PC12. All right, well, you get the picture. We'll go ahead and just get back to back into the runway. Send you guys off with some something cool, I guess. Alrighty. So that's our PC-12. Stop the engine here. For this, we're going to have to basically disable vehicle replacements. What the heck? That's what happens when you take long flights. And we'll start tug plane. And we will spawn either the Ripley or the... I forgot the name of the other vehicle. It was under utility. Air tug. Yes. Okay, so the idea behind this is when you get close enough to a vehicle, you can basically align the 2 points here and you press F5. When you press F5, it connects the plane or the gear of the plane with the back of the tug. Now this isn't it is a physical connection by definition of the code, but in terms of like realism, it's not. I'm going to make this open source, so I'm hoping you guys can help me out here with the what's the word I'm looking for? With improving this. I'm sure there's a way to toss like an entity, a non-clipped entity between the back of the truck and the plane itself. But this is what it looks like, and it operates actually really well. Which this isn't something that's ever been completed in GTA, so I'm happy to be one of the first people to have made something like this. You'll notice too. Watch, you'll see the wheel follows where the vehicle is turning. It gets a bit buggy. It can get a bit buggy in certain situations, but it works, and it works really well. Now you might be asking yourself, oh, that's all handy, that's cool or whatever, but what about larger aircraft? You'll see even the camera adjusts. The camera actually honors. This is like a side effect, which is pretty cool. I didn't even realize was possible. I just released it. Ooh. Oh, jeez. Oh, someone's paying for that. It's not going to be me. Yeah, let's spawn in a larger vehicle. Ripley. And we can also spawn in a, what, like a 757? I don't think I have it working for the 757. I know I have it working for the 739. If memory serves. Let's find out. Turn off the engine. Spawn out of the vehicle. And we will get in here and test it out also. Should work. Should work. Is there a way to... What is it? Like, oh, whatever. It doesn't matter. There should be a way to... Yes. Okay, it does work. Ah, yes. And I've also made it a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit picky, so that you're always aligning directly in front of the vehicle. So I'll line up a little bit better, so it won't complain at me as much. And there we go. We have no complaints, so we'll hit the attach button. You'll see the wheel slightly pivoted, so it's now following our vehicle. So we can now tug entire large aircraft without damaging it. So this is cool because it's something that, once again, hasn't been done in GTA. So, and if you move the camera behind, it actually follows the trailer that you're tugging as well, which is also a bit awesome too. So, oh, this thing is a bit heavy, so you'll see when I like go too fast, or basically if I'm irresponsible, you'll see that as well. Now, as I mentioned, it's buggy, so in this case, you'll see that the wheel isn't exactly aligned with where I am, but it's more following the heading, I guess, of the vehicle. So that's something that I would hope we can fix. I could probably fix it, but you know, I'm working on other things, and hopefully we'll have some community open source spirit soon as well. Oh, jeez. Very buggy. You can see. You see that. You see that. All right, let's do something foolish with this thing now. You'll see no contacts, and no contact to the vehicle, that is, and then no damage as well. So, oh, we have a viewer. Hello, viewer. Hello, concurrent person. How do you honk the horn on this thing? Is it R? No, it's, yes. Okay, so let's make this guy have a really bad day. We're just gonna detach and oh, 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 oh. And you'll see the wheels, they're detached at the point that you disconnect the vehicle on. So yeah, that is tugplanes. This is going to be a public release as well. So I'm actually probably gonna release, I don't know if I'm going to release this first or Titan Management, but they'll be released. You'll be able to see the code and see all of my foolishness elsewhere. But yeah, that is it. We're going to get you guys out of here. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and we will continue the regular schedule as needed. Take care, and I will see you in the sky. Let's see. Let's end this on a cool note. Where is the start AI? Yes, and we're gonna do plane test, and we'll say I believe it's vehicle name, which we'll do Nimbus and true. Right? Yes. Cool. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And yeah, goodbye. Hopefully this guy knows what he's doing. All right, V1. It's time to rotate. Time to rotate. Why aren't you rotating? We're cooked. Alrighty. Well, this guy clearly is fired, literally. And yeah, thanks for watching.